Russia and North Korea posing new threats today already to the United States and the rest of the world. Russia moving nuclear weapons to Belarus. Take a listen here to Senator Mark Warner and the U.S. response.
We learned yesterday, shifting topics to overseas, that Russia is planning to station tactical nuclear weapons in Belarus. It's yet another escalation of tensions with the West and tensions with Ukraine. Russia says it's just doing what the U.S. already does with countries in Europe. What's your response to the Russian move?
My response is twofold. Putin is a dangerous man. We've always known that. We've seen that the Russian offensive in Bakhmut, that city in the eastern part of Ukraine, seems to have stalled out. I'm hopeful that the Ukrainian counteroffensive is going to be successful. And I think it also drives home the point that any wannabe American political leader that refuses to acknowledge how dangerous Putin is, or that somehow that if Putin is successful in Ukraine, that is against our national interest, what that would do in terms of threatening the Baltic states, what it would do in terms of threatening Poland, what it would do in terms of giving President Xi more of a green light to potentially take action against Taiwan. Anyone who doesn't understand that is remarkably naive or not understanding the kind of geopolitical challenging times that we live in.
The United States retaliated with airstrikes on Friday after an American contractor was killed in Syria and 5 service members were wounded. This is by a suspected Iranian-affiliated drone attack in Syria. Since then, there have been 4 additional attacks on U.S. forces by these Iranian-linked groups. How worried are you about the risk of further escalation? And on the other hand, do you think the Biden administration has maybe not been doing enough to deter these kinds of attacks against U.S. troops by Iran affiliates?
There has been this low level of violence in Syria literally over the last year. And the strikes that the administration took out and caused casualties amongst some of these Iranian-backed groups, I think was appropriate. And I think if they continue, we ought to up the ante in terms of the strikes that we send back. But remember, we have a couple thousand troops there in both Iraq and Syria working with the Kurdish forces who still are in the process of wiping up the final remnants of the ISIS folks. And there are a number of ISIS prisoners being held. It's a dangerous area. But I do think the administration's response so far has been appropriate.
Meanwhile, Alexander Kubrikov, Ukraine's deputy prime minister for reconstruction, said the country's reconstruction costs are at an estimated $411 billion. And is Russia going to pay for that? Is Putin going to pay for that? I doubt it. You can let me know your thoughts here on this. They said the priority areas are critical infrastructure, housing, and essential social and transport facilities. Imagine all the houses and apartment buildings, hospitals, just literally in ruins. Their entire country is just in shambles, right? Last month, Ukrainian prosecutor General Andrei Kostin said that so far more than 75,000 buildings, including homes, schools, hospitals, have been reduced to rubble due to Russia's war. Isn't that sad? Meanwhile, North Korea tests an underwater attack drone that can generate a radioactive tsunami. The test purported new weapon was the latest in a series of simulated attacks as their President Kim Jong-un escalated his nuclear threats while the U.S. and South Korea held joint military drills. This guy's something else. South Korea president said, quote, "I will make sure that North Korea pays the price for its reckless provocations." And remember, South Korea and North Korea are basically like mortal enemies. And this is why North Korea president is threatening the United States here at a daily basis. And When the South Korea president and the North Korea president say things like this to each other, this literally puts the world at risk for World War III. And we could wake up one morning and see them at war, which could put the rest of the world at war. So, and remember that North Korea has nuclear weapons. South Korea President Yoon Suk Yeol promised on Friday to punish North Korea for the communist nation's recent series of provocations, saying, quote, North Korea is advancing its nuclear weapons day by day and conducting missile provocations with unprecedented intensity. He made the comments at the Daejeon National Cemetery to commemorate the anniversary of West Sea Defense Day, a holiday in honor of servicemen who lost their lives defending the maritime border in North Korea. The comments came just hours after North Korea claimed to have successfully simulated cruise missile attacks and an underwater nuclear drone attack. Nuclear drones. So, yeah. It does make us seem like we are just inches from World War III here. The North Korea Ministry of Foreign Affairs warned earlier this week that any attempt to force the country into denuclearizing, getting rid of their nuclear weapons, would be equivalent to a declaration of war, saying, quote, any force should keep in mind that if it tries to keep CVID to the DPRK, it would be dealt with resolutely in accordance with their law on nuclear force policy. Yeah, so the U.S. is getting attacked in Syria by Iranian drones. We have a full-blown war going on in Ukraine. Russia's moving nuclear weapons from Russia over to Belarus, just to make sure that they have multiple nuclear weapons in multiple countries. You guys can let me know your thoughts on why they would be doing that. Do they plan on using them here? That's an interesting provocation here. Don't forget that Russia has there's been leaked plans that they want to take over Belarus here within the next few years. They've already taken over Crimea. We know they want to take over Ukraine, and they've also leaked plans that they want to take over Moldova accidentally twice, and also the country of Georgia. Literally just reminds me more and more by the day of Hitler and World War II and the taking over of country after country after country by force or whatever means necessary. Yeah, so this is the problem. And the other problem is they have 6,000 nuclear weapons, and we know that what just one would do. We can't necessarily have a nuclear exchange back and forth. It could just mean the end of everything. Okay. Yeah, so we're playing a tricky game here. The whole world is on trying to make sure that none of that happens and trying to keep peace and stability here in the world. Yeah. So I'll keep you up to date here on all of this because it's like a puzzle piece mastermind trying to keep all this. Imagine if you were in charge of our armed forces and you're literally just trying to keep track of this all. Now, thankfully, we have thousands and thousands of men in our armed forces, generals and colonels and all sorts of, top brass there because it's probably a pretty strategic game here. So I'll keep you up to date here on our YouTube channel. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe down below. Click the bell icon. It's completely free to do so. New videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you appreciate these videos, don't forget to hit the like button for us. Here's some videos you should watch next. Here's the video about the counterattack that the U.S. just did. And here's some really big details for Social Security and Medicaid and seniors here in this video. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video.